This is an update from the alternative build, covering a different approach to the build and design. I wanted to see what the difference in performance would be with a hull containing a chine, and also using balsa as the material for construction. This video covers the main differences between the alternative build and this new one. I have again used Fusion 360 to make the design template, with the main difference being the design around the rear of the hull creating a well-defined chine. The hull shadows were made from Depron, printing out the design and attaching them to the board. This was a lot easier than cutting them from ply, and also didn't require any tape on the edges, avoiding the planks sticking to it. And followed a similar procedure for build as per the cedar version. I could pin the balsa to the shadows, which also made it easier to get the planks up against the edge of the hull. Another change in the build was to use full planks without shaping the ends to get them to fit the transom or bow. This meant as the gap closed from the planks then had to be shaped to fit the remaining space. However, this was quicker to do as balsa can be cut easier. Some shaping was needed when the edge of the chine was reached to provide a clean line. Once the sanding was completed, I then covered the hull with a balsa filler as some of the joins and other defects needed smoothed out. Further sanding was completed to give a smooth finish prior to putting the glass on to the hull. The shadows were removed, and I glassed internally to provide a bit more strength, especially in the critical areas. The next stage of the build is the same as the alternative build, by fitting the fin and mast box and ensuring it all lines up correctly. Also adding the rudder servo enclosure. I added some of the deck fitments and tested it on the pond for any possible leaks. All that remained before adding the deck was to finish off any final wooden support structures for the pot and deck. One change I made from the alternative was to use eye bolts for the jib pivot points and also the sheeting to the jib. I used T-nuts so that the bolts would have a secure fixing. The covering with the ply deck followed the same process as the alternative, making sure all holes were aligned and sufficient pressure on the edges to seal the joins. The final part was painting the hull. After attempting to do this using spray cans, I decided to use a local company that sprayed kitchen units, and although it cost more, I am extremely happy with the finish.